What happens when you combine a CHR and a RAV4? You get this, the new 2022 Toyota Corolla Cross. Yeah, that's right, it's a Corolla as a crossover. We have the full look right now on Driving Sports TV.
We flew to Austin, Texas to check out the all-new 2022 Toyota Corolla Cross. So what exactly do we have here? The vehicle has nice lines overall. On the sides are sharp creases that really help sell the signature look. Toyota has done a good job of creating a vehicle that will look good for years to come. The model we're testing today is the mid-range LE with all-wheel drive. Prices you see it here with premium sound and moonroof options, $29,465 US, including destination. You can get the Corolla Cross in 2 other trim levels and powertrains. Pricing starts at $23,410 for a base L in front-wheel drive, all the way to a loaded XLE with all-wheel drive for $28,840. Both prices include destination. Under the hood of all trim levels is a 2-liter 4-cylinder good for 169 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque, connected to a direct shift continuously variable transmission that includes a real first gear. Front drive models get a torsion beam suspension in the back, but all-wheel drive models get the better multi-link setup like we have here. EPA rates economy at 29 miles to the gallon in the city and 32 on the highway. Towing is rated at 1,500 pounds. LE and up also get roof rails to attach accessories. In the back is a spacious 26.5 cubic feet of storage behind the second row. Fold all the seats flat for up to 65.5 cubic feet. Under the floor is a space saver spare.
Because this is an LE, which is the mid-range model, it has fabric seats. But they have a nice design. They're pretty comfortable, actually, for a second row. I do have room for my knees, though just barely. All trim levels get a vent back here, which is nice, although you have to move to LE and XLE to get USB ports, a USB-A as well as a USB-C down there. A fold-down armrest is optional, but it unfortunately is not on this trim level. I do, however, get cup holders in the doors, which is nice. Okay. One of the main reasons to consider the LE over the base L is this. The LE is what you need to get keyless entry. You also get push-button start, which, if you get it in and out of your vehicle a lot throughout the day, can make all the difference. So I'm going to stash that down here. Ooh, it is hot in Austin today. It's about 100 degrees outside and I'm baking. So hopefully I don't sweat too much here. So the gauge cluster on this LE trim is comprised of both a traditional tack and speedo as well as a multi-function color display on the right. Now it's there where we can go through all the features of the vehicle, everything from what the current mileage is, to music, to the status of the all-wheel drive system, including power distribution, which is nice. And then you can also configure all of the active safety. And this does come with a nice suite of features. It has Toyota Safety Sense 2, which includes lane keep, pre-collision braking, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alerts. It also has lane tracing, so this should actually keep the vehicle centered on a freeway to reduce fatigue on long trips. And as far as fatigue is concerned, I don't think we'll have a problem with that because these seats are very comfortable. Yeah, they're fabric. You have to move up to the XLE to get the synthetic leather, but these are kind of nice. The steering wheel is wrapped in a leatherette type material, so it actually looks really good as well, and is nice to touch. And it has the traditional Toyota buttons here. You have all of your stereo controls on the left as well as the multi-function. And then on the right, you have your cruise control where you can set distance and lane detect. All very nice stuff. Now, in the center here, we have an 8-inch touchscreen display. If you get with the base, you only get 7-inch, but with this one, you get an 8-inch. All of these systems, whether you get the 7-inch in the base or the enhanced in the XLE with the 8-inch, They all support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto via cable. They do not support wireless, although this LE does have a charging tray right here, although it is kind of useless without actually having wireless CarPlay. Moving on up here, the menu is traditional Toyota. It's the same stuff we've seen for a while now. You have your, it supports apps, it supports phone, audio, you get XM satellite radio, and then down here we have a USB plug for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or just streaming from your audio device. So XM satellite radio is fine. Personally, I listen to Apple Music, and all I have to do is plug in my phone, swipe up to finish doing CarPlay, allow CarPlay. And there we go. Find the nearest independent coffee house.
The nearest one I see is Yaya Cafe on Guadalupe Street.
Sure, Yaya Cafe. Let's go there. I have no idea if it's any good. Hey, people who live in Austin, is that any good? Post a comment below. You do get, at this trim level, auto climate control. If you move up to the XLE, you get a dual zone climate control. The transmission is a CVT, but it has a proper first gear, which is really nice for starts and stops. And we can also go into a full manual mode if so desired. These are all going to be built at a new joint Mazda-Toyota plant located in Alabama. They expect to be able to produce up to 150,000 of these a year from that plant, which is pretty incredible. So we've looked at all the features here. Let's go ahead and take it for a drive. Jumping on the freeway, we can test out some of the advanced safety stuff. Hear that CVT go. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and set cruise control with radar. I'm going to pace the vehicle in front of me. I'm going to set it as close as possible, and I'm going to set a target speed a little bit higher. Now it does have lane detection on, and so it should help kind of keep the vehicle centered, and it's doing an okay job, actually. I mean, for a vehicle that costs under 30 grand, this is pretty good. I love it that Toyota includes these features in just the base trim even. You don't have to go to an XLE. You do not have to pay extra to get the adaptive cruise control with lane centering, as well as the collision mitigation and all that stuff. It's just wrapped in here, and I think that's really great. Power is a little weak. I mean, this little 2-liter inline 4 with a CVT passing is a little, it takes some effort, we'll say that. But I'm really curious, is it more fun on the side roads? And we're also going to try to find some place to test out this all-wheel drive system here in Austin. I don't know the area very well, but I'm heading out of town, so hopefully we find some dirt out there. They've taken all the good ideas from all the different crossovers in this class and kind of combined them into one. I mean, you have this great 8-inch display, you have a very clear gauge cluster, you have good visibility, you have optional high-end sound. I mean, high-end for a car like this. Oh, when it's caught flat-footed, that does not want to move. Okay, and they also took the idea of putting in a pretty weak engine just for the sake of MPGs. Yeah. Because what you're looking at with this one is 29 miles to the gallon in town and 32 on the highway, which is pretty good, but not quite as good as the Subaru Crosstrek. And the Crosstrek is a prime competitor of this product, along with the CX-30 and other kind of small crossovers. Turning into the corners, the handling actually is pretty good for a vehicle of this type. It's not supposed to be a corner carver, but it is supposed to be comfortable, and it certainly is that. I have really good visibility. It's doing what I ask. Now, this all-wheel drive system is not enhanced for cornering. It doesn't do anything like brake vectoring or torque vectoring, but it will shift up to 50% of power to the back wheels if it feels like there will be an advantage to do that. Let me switch over to the display that shows me my all-wheel drive status. So I put the throttle on, and I'm getting most power to the front with just a pip in the back. And then as I corner, oh, it's giving me a little bit more power there. Oh, see, so it's when I When I initially put the throttle on, I get a little bit more power to the back, and then it eases off when it sees that it's really not going to help much. So this vehicle is really not fast. How not fast? Let's find out. Going to keep the transmission in drive. There's no settings. I'm just going to mash the throttle. 3, 2, 1, go. And hope I have enough road. Oh, power goes to all 4 wheels, so that helps with launch. 30, 40, 50, and come on, 60. 10.58 seconds. I think that's a new record of horrible. Yee. My initial impression of this car is pretty favorable. I mean, it's sprung nicely. I like the damping of the suspension. It's on the soft side, but for something that's intended to go down trail roads, that makes sense. The biggest problem is really that engine. The 2-liter just doesn't have enough oomph. But there is good news on the horizon. Next year, Toyota intends to announce a hybrid version of this. Now, the hybrids typically have a little bit more kick than the inline 4 version, so that may solve the biggest problem with this vehicle. Oh, this is nice. I like Austin, you know, it's got good coffee, good food, and some nice roads to drive on. But now, if I could only find some dirt. Urgh. Number 8 trail. That is a walking trail.
Heading out of town, I finally managed to find some dirt to test the all-wheel drive setup in this Corolla Cross. To explain how it works, here's Ben Haushalter from Toyota Marketing.
Corolla Cross uses our dynamic torque control all-wheel drive system. It normally operates in 2-wheel drive mode until the system senses slippage on the front wheels, and then it can transfer up to 50% of the torque to the rear axle. Similar system that we use on RAV4 in Camry and Avalon. There's a lot of sensors that read the different slippage and using wheel speed sensors to try and understand what the torque needs are going to be.
Lining up for our launch, we're now going to see if this powertrain can spin the back wheels. I set the vehicle to traction control off and floor it. Power builds, and there! Blink and you'll miss it. There's a little kick from the back wheels as they engage. So overall, not terribly exciting, but power is moving to the back.
And I finally found a dirt road. I only missed lunch and will probably miss dinner now, but that's okay. I'm doing it for you guys. And it's going to give me a feeling as to how this all-wheel drive system functions on loose surfaces. Because obviously, all-wheel drive on paved streets, there's not much to test there. Unless it's performance-oriented, which this one is not. Cow grate. So I'm on County Road 310A. This is just a kind of dirty road going through the Texas Hill Country, just east of Austin. And it's not really a challenging trail, and that's okay because you're not going to go rock crawling with this thing, that's for sure. But you might want to, you know, cross it up a little bit, just kind of feel the road, and yeah, you can do it with this vehicle, even with traction control on. So we have traction control off, and let's do a little twitch for the camera. So you can see it definitely gets a little crossed up, but it clamps down to make sure you don't have too much fun. Being that this is targeting young active buyers, Toyota has a whole raft of accessories that are going to be available. I think it was over 25 different accessories, and that includes everything from roof racks to bike racks to you name it. And normally where a car maker will partner with somebody else to provide those products, in this case, Toyota's engineered them for this vehicle. It's actually kind of surprising. Typically they just call up, "Hello, Mr. Tooley? Yes, I could use a rack." It's interesting that the base wheel on this is 17 inches. Granted, that has a hubcap, but moving to the LE here, you get an alloy wheel. And then if you go up to the XLE, you get cows! You get cows! Oh my gosh, I'm stopping for cows. Moo!
Toyota expects that this LE will be the best-selling trim, and it does have a lot of great features at this price point. But considering that the more powerful Subaru Crosstrek Sport with its 182 horsepower boxer engine, CVT, and standard all-wheel drive prices out to within a couple $100s of this Corolla Cross when comparably equipped, you might want to pause and consider if the extra cargo space in the Toyota is worth the performance compromise. This Corolla Cross is a near ideal small crossover. Toyota has certainly done their homework, but like many others, they've thrown out performance in exchange for improved mileage. It did take Subaru almost a decade before it introduced a faster Crosstrek, and the bigger engine simply transformed that vehicle. Hopefully, it won't take Toyota as long to come to the same conclusion. That's because the all-wheel drive version of this Corolla Cross is only about 30 horsepower away from greatness. Now, let's go back to Austin to wrap this up.
Do you see the horns on that guy? They were huge. So that's our look at the 2022 Toyota Corolla Cross. Now, I know I haven't had an opportunity to do too much off-roading with it. The roads just weren't in our favor today. Toyota said they are going to ship us one out and we will test it on our off-road test course. That's right, we have our own off-road test course and we are going to use it to see how good this vehicle is. But that will be coming in a few months. So, in the meantime, be sure to subscribe, like our videos, and hey, we make them for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again right here real soon.